I may be in the minority here, but Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince is actually my favorite movie of the franchise. And today, my goal is to give you a small sample of why. Paradoxically, with a scene that was actually deleted from the final cut of the movie. This scene takes place right before Draco Malfoy puts his plan into motion to get the Death Eaters to come into Hogwarts and bring darkness. Before we get into the visual aspect of the scene, we have to talk about this song. Oh, this song, it's so pristine and delicate. There are two aspects of the song to analyze for me, the form and the depth. Let's start with the form first, with these angelic voices that reminds us of innocence and fragility, which is very fitting for students sheltered from an impending doom. The singing is very soft and quiet compared to the number of singers that there actually is, as if the song itself is trying to lay low to not be heard by the lurking shadows outside. There are a couple other very interesting things about the form of this song, like the music box who accompanies the choir, which reinforces this idea of innocence even more, and the idea of Hogwarts being plunged into slumber. Contrasted with the heavy percussion that mark the time in a very heavy manner, which reminds us more of footsteps from an approaching calamity, and even more so with the storm. I also love the use of staccatos in the choir singing in the middle of the song, dun, 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 which makes it feel like someone being on its tiptoes, being cautious to not get caught. Now for the depth, we have to talk about the lyrics, and the lyrics sums up so well what this movie is about when it comes to its narrative. One of the reasons why I love Half-Blood Prince the most out of all the Harry Potter movies is this atmosphere of calm before the storm. This heart-warming slice of life feel in Hogwarts with a lot of light-hearted scenes, teenage loves and other sweet moments. But throughout the movie, there is in contrast this feeling of impending darkness. In that vein, it feels like the wholesome moments could very well be their last, and taking the time to enjoy them will make all Hogwarts students remember what they're fighting for when darkness comes. The song's lyrics put this thought into light so well. We live without regret because we enjoyed the good times with the ones we loved that we'll never forget even when darkness takes the day. Although we saw in the form that this song evokes some fragility and fear, in its heart, it's actually a cry out from the Hogwarts student full of love, hope, and resolve. Now, let's move on to the scene itself. In Noctem, Into the Night. Obviously a very dark scene, but the fires of Hogwarts are still lit. Notice how in every one of the choir shots, the camera slowly moves towards Professor Flitwick, evoking different lurking dangers. The first camera movement is slowly creeping behind him, like an assassin threatening to backstab him. The second camera movement comes from above, crushing, putting all the weight of the darkness on the assembly. And the last one places itself directly in front of the professor, and that's when we observe that he can feel the pressure coming and it disturbs him. Everyone is sensing the danger. All the students have their eyes on the storm that is raging in the skies. Everyone's attention is locked in fear. But the most powerful hint of fear is seeing Professor McGonagall trying to invoke authority and reassurance, but failing with her voice and gestures. She also has her attention absorbed by the impending doom. The sight of the empty castle reinforces this impression of calm before things go south, but also a certain vulnerability in the middle of night. No one is standing at the ready to fight. No one is on the ramparts ready to defend themselves. They're all either unaware or awaiting in fear. This shot from above also makes Hogwarts feel very small, and we don't even need to talk about the dark clouds coming. We are then presented to Snape, observing the horizon as the camera turns around him. He's first covered in darkness as we cannot decipher what his face can tell us about his feelings. And as the choir reach a pure and beautiful high note and the camera turns on the other side of his face, we see his face in full light, showing all the intimacy of his fears and sorrows. This part of the scene is the obvious reason why this scene was cut, because it would spoil Snape's entire character arc. A part of darkness as a cover, but an ever-loving and fighting soul behind it, that we were not supposed to know until the end of the franchise. The next part is showing Draco in bed, with the camera slowly moving towards him. We can tell he feels tense and overthinking, even more put into light by the shot of his feet touching the ground with extreme tension. And actually his feet touching the ground signifies the beginning of the end for that calm before the storm, because right now things are put into motion. Finally, the last element of the scene shows Hermione and Ron looking at the window in worry, but together. A sweet last touch to remember that Hogwarts students will be fighting for each other, and that will bring them light in the dark days to come. As we've seen in this video, all aspects of the conflict are depicted in this scene. We have the fearing students, the concerned professors, Snape dying inside because of what he has to do, or Draco gathering his courage to get his horrible mission done. This mix of anguish and sorrow give all of its emotional impact to the song, and prepares us to mourn for the losses to come. So anyway, I hope I could present to you as well as I could one of the main reasons why I love this movie so much, and I think this scene is a good example to show that. I'll see you again for another video, but for now, that will be it.